Hi guys, it's Rob from Royal Balls. Clutch number 2 has now all shed out. This is the Leopard Freeway clutch, and what a magnificent result and stunning animals these are. We're going to take a look at them. We're also going to look at this from a genetic standpoint. Where do I want to take this project in the future? How do I control the outcomes, given that Yellow Belly and Asphalt are so similar looking? It's very hard to tell them apart. And we have an issue when we breed various combinations of knowing what the offspring are, and that's why you get a lot of Yellow Belly / Asphalt on Morph Market. It's impossible to tell them apart. However, we can control outcomes by controlling the pairing. So we're going to have a look at some genetics as well to show how I controlled the outcome, where I want to go next, and how I achieve that without confusing what we have in the clutch. It's not easy with these allelic combinations. Alright guys, clutch number 2 has all shed out my Leopard Freeway clutch that we have already taken a look at. We're going to take a look at them now that they've shed because they do look amazing, but I'm going to try and frame this in a genetic way to make it a little bit more interesting. Let's have a look at the clutch first. If we can sort these out, we had two visual yellow bellies, and we know that these are yellow bellies because I controlled the outcome of the clutch by using an ivory female, which is a super yellow belly, which means that everything that is not Freeway is going to be Yellow Belly and not Asphalt. Let's take a look at how I engineered that using our pipe cleaner and Punnett square demonstration. I'll bring Mr. DNA in here to help us understand that. Alright, let's delve a little bit into genetics here, and before you all start running for cover, we're just going to play noughts and crosses. This is actually way simpler than it looks and way simpler than it sounds. So let me just set up the pieces. What we have here on each side of our Punnett square, which is a simple cross with only 4 boxes in it, we have a male snake and we have a female snake, and what we're looking at here is the genetic code or the DNA strand that goes to make up a snake, the complete animal, not just the colour and the pattern, but the complete animal. So on the DNA strand, you've all seen Jurassic Park and Mr. DNA and how they recovered bits of DNA from dinosaurs that was supposedly preserved in blood in mosquitoes that had been preserved in amber, and they filled in the missing pieces using the DNA code from a frog. This is the DNA code of our ball python, and it's very complex. This bit here might be the tongue, the Jacobson's organ. This contains the genetic code that during cell division might instruct the cells to make eyes. This bit here might be the lungs. This bit here might be the digestive tract. So the genetic code here contains all the information that we need to construct a snake. What we're going to be working with today is a very small portion of that genetic code, and it's the genetic code that affects the colour and the pattern of the snake. Now, in sexual reproduction, you probably all already know this, but we need a male and we need a female. So here we have male and female, and in sexual reproduction we are going to split the genetic code in half, because the young will receive half their genetic code from dad and half their genetic code from mum, and hence there are only 4 halves and only 4 possible outcomes. So this is going to be very easy. Now, when we work with colour and pattern variations in our ball pythons, we are working with genetic mutations or genes. And each of these genetic mutations is a very small piece of genetic code that contains a key that allows it to bolt itself onto the existing genetic code at a very specific location, and that modifies the visual appearance of the snake. So every gene or genetic mutation has a visual appearance. The visual appearance is called the phenotype. The genetic composition that goes to make up the phenotype is called the genotype, and the genetic modifier here changes the morphology of the snake, so it produces a morph. So there we've got three terms that sound very complicated but are actually very simple. A morph is simply a genetic mutation of the snake. The phenotype is the way that it looks, and the genotype is the genetic composition that goes to make up that new look in the snake. So we're going to be working with genes here. You will notice that because there are two halves to the DNA, these genetic modifiers have two slots, one on each side of the same address. It's mirrored on the other side, which is known as an allele. So across the allele, this locus or address where this gene can live, there are actually two free slots. And you can think of the genetic modifiers or genes as being plug and play modifiers to your snake. You simply plug them in and that modifies the snake. So it's just like a bolt-on performance addition for your car. You bolt it on and it changes the performance. It's just like a plug and play addition to your computer. You plug it in and you enjoy the benefits of more memory, a joystick, maybe a new speaker, but they are simply plug and play. Because there are two slots, here again, let's recap what we mean. Because there are two slots, there is room for one genetic modifier, and this is the heterozygous form of this genetic mutation. Heterozygous means across the allele is different. There is a gene on this side, not on this side. There's a free slot on this side. So this is heterozygous, hetero meaning different on each side of the allele. If there is a genetic modifier at that address on both sides of the allele, this is now the homozygous form, meaning the same on both sides of the allele. Now, the homozygous form, if this is an incomplete dominant gene, is known as the superform. If this is a recessive gene, you get the visual recessive in the homozygous form. In the heterozygous form, in a recessive gene, there is very little or no visual expression, but in an incomplete dominant gene, there is a partial visual expression of the phenotype of that genotype. The visual expression of the genetic combination in that snake. So even with just one copy, you do get some visual modifier. With two copies, you get the full modifier. So in this particular case, with this particular pairing, we are going to look at how I engineered the result of this clutch, and we're going to focus on Yellow Belly and Asphalt, which in genetic terminology are allelic. Yellow Belly and Asphalt occupy exactly the same slot on the genetic code in the snake, so you can actually get two different genes on the same locus or allele. When you have two different genes occupying the same slot, they are known as allelic. So I used an ivory as my female, and she is a super yellow belly, which means that at the location that yellow belly has the key to fit, it means that there are two copies of the yellow belly gene. What this means, when the female produces her eggs, when we split the genetic code, remember she is only going to give half her genetic code to the babies. The other half is going to come from the male over here. But you can see that because she's the super form, it doesn't matter which half of her genetic code is provided to the babies, this half or this half, everything is going to receive one copy of the yellow belly gene. So of the 4 outcomes here, if we pair to a normal, this half or this half, this half or this half, the outcome is exactly the same. We get one copy of yellow belly in everything. So all the babies are going to be yellow belly. There will be no normals. Now in this case, we paired the ivory to an asphalt. This is just a single copy of asphalt, which resides at exactly the same address on the male's genetic code. So let's remove our noughts and crosses again. So I'm using an ivory, or the super form of yellow belly, and I'm pairing with an asphalt. So what happens when we pair this male with this female? Well, there are 4 potential outcomes. We pair this half of the female to this half of the male, and now you can see you get one copy of yellow belly and one copy of asphalt. So that goes in that square there, and over here we get one copy of yellow belly with no asphalt. So in this square we just get yellow belly. Let's take the other half of the female. We pair this half to this half of the male, yellow belly asphalt. So again we get one copy of yellow belly, one copy of asphalt, and on this side, when we pair to this half of the male, we get one copy of yellow belly and nothing from the male. So the 4 possible outcomes from this pairing would be a freeway, a yellow belly, and a yellow belly, which means that going into this pairing, I knew that by using an ivory to an asphalt, I was either going to get freeways or yellow bellies. You will notice there is no spare asphalt in the outcome, so we didn't get any asphalts. We know that from the genetic pairing. It's impossible to get a free asphalt since it has to combine with yellow belly from mum, because she's supplying yellow belly to everything. So it means that anything that is not a freeway has to be a yellow belly. We can do that the other way around. Let me remove our noughts and crosses again, and this time let's use a super asphalt to a straight yellow belly, and let's see what that gives when we use that pairing. So again, here is the male, and you will see that when we split his genetic code, it doesn't matter which half of the genetic code the babies receive, it's always going to have a copy of asphalt. So we take this side of the male and pair it to this side of the female, so we get one asphalt with nothing from the female. So in this square we just get one copy of asphalt. We pair this half of the male to this half of the female and we get asphalt yellow belly in this square, so that is a freeway. Now we use the other half of the male's genetic code, we pair to this half of the female, and we get one copy of asphalt, nothing from the female. Pair this half of the male to this half of the female, and you'll see we get asphalt yellow belly, so we get another freeway. So this time, by using a super asphalt with a yellow belly, we get 2 freeways, and we get 2 asphalts. Because the female is only supplying one copy of yellow belly, the male is supplying a copy of asphalt to everything. The yellow belly has to combine with the asphalt to produce a freeway, so anything that is not a freeway this time will be a visual asphalt. So I could have controlled the outcome of this pairing by using a super asphalt, and all the spares would have been asphalt and not yellow belly, but I don't have a super asphalt. But these are 2 yellow bellies. What are the characteristics of yellow belly that distinguish these from a normal? Well, you can see that they are brighter. The dorsal is quite bright. The head is just a little bit blushed compared to what a normal would be. But the major distinguishing feature that we have here is those fantastic flames up the side, which a normal does not have. And you can see the typical yellow belly digital markings. If we just have a look at the other one, you can see the exact same thing, these flames here up the sides and the digital markings here along the edge of the belly. Now, it is actually very difficult to tell these apart from asphalts, and I'm going to show you that right now. Here is Dad that was used for the clutch, and here's asphalt compared to the yellow bellies that came from the same clutch. So let's take a look and see if we can actually tell the difference. You can see the flames on the side of the baby here with the digital markings on the belly, and if we take a look at the male, he looks exactly the same, and he also has exactly the same digital markings on the belly. Now, I have pointed this out before, just on this portion of the belly here, you can see a hint right here of a second line of dots along his belly, just here. And that might just be a distinguishing feature of asphalt versus yellow belly. You can see that he has the same flames up the side, he has the same digital edge markings to his belly, and I have to put him back into his tub, guys, because he's getting very squirrely. But it makes it almost impossible to tell these guys apart. You can see here exactly the same digital belly markings, so it's essential that we understand from the genetics what we've created here, and there is no doubt that this is yellow belly from the pairing, and Dad is an asphalt but looks exactly the same. Next one up is the yellow belly leopard, and you can see that leopard responds very, very strongly with yellow belly. Look at the pattern, the lengthened pattern and the dorsal stripe in this compared to the straight yellow belly. You can see that this guy here has a much more elongated pattern, much stronger dorsal stripe, and the alien heads are extended down the side. This is the leopard and this is the yellow belly. So this is leopard yellow belly, and you can also see from the head stamp that there is a slight dot on the head there, signifying leopard in this particular case. But you can see that there is a very strong reaction between leopard and yellow belly. That's awesome. So it's easy to see how the Leopard Freeways end up looking as spectacular as they do. Belly markers. The yellow belly has pretty much wiped out the zipper pattern that leopard would normally have on the belly. So now we move on to the yellow belly asphalt combinations, and this is a freeway. This is a straight freeway, so yellow belly asphalt, and that's why we need to know when we have yellow belly or asphalt in the babies what we're dealing with, so that we can make snakes like these. You can see that it does have a faint speckling down the side, a very light coloured belly, no markings on here. There's no leopard in this, so there's no dot on the head stamp. And if we take this snake and add leopard to it, we get this beauty here. And just look at the dark blacks and contrast that this guy here has. You can see the very strong dot on the head from leopard, but you can see the completely different pattern. Leopard makes such a difference to the freeway. So let's just have a look at this guy. And the pattern here is just superb. Just look at the jagged pattern down the side. You've got this very long elongated dorsal stripe, and it does have some slight digital markings down the side. So this is a Leopard Freeway, and believe it or not, we got 3 of them. And they're all fairly similar, some slight differences. I would say that the dorsal stripe is quite strong on this one. The contrast on this one is unbelievable. The oranges in this guy is fantastic, and he also has a very strong neck stripe. And this one is a halfway house between the two, yellow rather than orange. Okay guys, we are going to resex these again on camera and just give you a quick demonstration of how to do it. I did actually get all the sexes right the first time. What we're going to do here, I'm going to hold the snake upside down in my left hand. I'm going to find the cloaca with this thumb, and I do not apply much pressure here. I'm simply pulling back. Don't push from this end. Pull back slightly. What I'm going to do now is to put my finger underneath the tail, put my thumb here, and I'm going to roll forward like this. So I'm doing this. Okay, so pull back on the cloaca here, finger underneath, and roll forward, and out pop 2 hemipenes. The hemipenes are fully extended there. You can see them pop right out. There is no doubt that this is a male. Females don't have those red hemipenes. Let me just do that again for you. Left hand, I'm going to hold the snake upside down, and with my left thumb here I'm going to find the cloaca, and I'm not pressing, I'm just pulling back. Just pulling back. Put my finger underneath and roll forward. Watch again. Roll forward and out pop 2 hemipenes fully extended. There we go. This is a male. So we got 2 female Leopard Freeways and 1 male. We got a female Freeway. We got a female Leopard Yellow Belly, and we had 2 Yellow Bellies, one of which is a female, one of which is a male. This is the male Yellow Belly. Let me just do that demo again. Left hand, hold the snake upside down, find the cloaca with my thumb and pull back. Don't push from this side, no pressure, just pull back. Put my finger underneath and I'm gonna roll forward. So here we go with this guy. Just pull gently back, roll forward, roll forward, and out pop 2 hemipenes. The scent glands are at the top, the hemipenes are underneath here, and they're much longer, much more obvious than the scent glands, so don't confuse the two. So this is a male. Let me just do that with a female. So this is the female, same technique, left hand, find the cloaca with my left thumb right there, and I'm just pulling back very gently. I'm not putting any pressure here, just pulling back, not pushing from this end. Finger underneath the tail, and I'm going to roll forward like that. So finger underneath, there's the cloaca, and I'm just pulling back gently, finger underneath, and roll forward. And you can see that there are 2 little pink scent glands there, but underneath that, where the hemipene should be, there is nothing. Okay, so that's a female. These are all ready to set up individually now, but let's just talk a little bit about where we're going with this project. What I would like to do with this combination is to add some extra genes to enhance that black high contrast look, and a black pastel orange dream combination might be superb. In this snake, orange dream reacts very strongly with leopard, but I think adding black pastel to blacken the blacks with orange dream, which would do wonders for this combination. Adding GHI would probably strongly influence the pattern, so we could do something with that, and I think this snake would also look magnificent in hypo form. So let's ask Mr. DNA to show us what we can use a freeway for versus an asphalt versus a yellow belly. But I don't have a super asphalt. How am I going to make a super asphalt? Okay, in order to make a super asphalt, asphalt has to be present in the male and has to be present in the female. So let's use a freeway, asphalt yellow belly. This is a female freeway. Let's use her and pair to that asphalt male. I've just produced my freeways, so I do have females, so when they're grown up I could pair that to the asphalt. Let's have a look and see what the outcome of that would be. So again, we split the genetic code. Here's the male, here's the female. So we pair this half of the male to this half of the female, and yes, we have asphalt, asphalt. So in this square here we have our super asphalt. We pair this half of the male to this half of the female, asphalt yellow belly, so we get a freeway. We take the other half of the male, pair to this half of the female, and we get asphalt. Take this half of the male and pair to this half of the female, and we get yellow belly. The problem with this pairing is that we've got a super asphalt and a freeway, which actually look quite similar. It might be very hard to tell them apart. We have one yellow belly and one asphalt, and we've already seen impossible to tell those apart. So for every 4 babies we end up with 2 asphalt or yellow belly. We can't tell them apart, we don't know which is which, and we end up with 2 animals which could be freeway or could be super asphalt. We may be able to tell them apart, but in some cases it can be confusing, so we might end up with 2 animals that look like freeways and we don't know which is which. So unfortunately for us, the only way that we can guarantee that we're going to make asphalts and know that they're asphalts is to take an asphalt and pair it to an asphalt and make sure there's no yellow belly in the pairing. Take this side of the male and pair to this side of the female, which is also an asphalt, we get a super asphalt. This side of the female, we get an asphalt. Take this half of the male, pair to this half of the female, we get an asphalt. This half of the male to this half of the female, we get no copies of anything. So the outcome this time, pairing an asphalt to an asphalt, is 1 super asphalt, 1 in 4, 2 asphalts and a normal. So we have our super asphalt. We're guaranteed it's a super asphalt. It has to be from the pairing, but we can't have yellow belly in the mix, otherwise it will confuse the outcome and we won't know what we're dealing with. So in order to progress this project, if I do want to make a super asphalt, I'm going to have to make another asphalt because I only have 1, and then pair them together to produce the super. If I do it any other way, I'm going to end up with freeways or super asphalts that I can't tell apart, and I'm going to end up with yellow belly and asphalt babies that I also can't tell apart, and that's going to be very confusing. I don't know which snakes to hold back, I don't know which snakes are going to be useful, and I also don't know what snakes I'm selling because I can't tell them apart. So, having produced freeway, we want to produce more freeways. How do we produce more freeways? Well, we pair freeway to freeway, right? And everything should be freeway. No, that's not the case, because these are actually allelic and they reside at the same locus. When we split the genetic code, half of this freeway is going to be yellow belly and half of it's going to be asphalt, and the same on the other side. So let's have a look and see what we get when we pair freeway to freeway. So let's take this half of the male, pair it to this half of the female, and we get Asphalt Yellow Belly, so that's a Freeway. This half of the male to this half of the female, and we get Asphalt, so that's a Super Asphalt. Let's take this half of the male and pair to this half of the female, and we get Yellow Belly, which is an Ivory. Take this half of the male and pair to this half of the female, and we get Yellow Belly Asphalt, which is another Freeway. Yellow Belly Asphalt. So when we pair Freeway to Freeway, for every 4 babies we are going to get 1 Ivory, 1 Super Asphalt and 2 Freeways. The Freeways might look very similar to the Super Asphalt. The Ivory obviously is a white snake and it's easy to tell them apart. But you cannot pair Freeway to Freeway and expect to get all Freeways. You don't. The only way to get all Freeways is to pair an Ivory to a Super Asphalt. So by using the Super form now, I have a Super Asphalt and I have a Super Yellow Belly, which is an Ivory. You can see that whatever half of the male we use is going to provide a copy of Asphalt. Whatever half of the female we use is going to provide a copy of Yellow Belly. So this half of the male to this half of the female, Asphalt Yellow Belly, that's a Freeway. This half of the male to this half of the female, that's another Freeway. Use this half of the male to this half of the female, that's another Freeway. And use this half of the male to this half of the female, that's another Freeway. The only way to guarantee a full clutch of Freeways is to use 2 Supers. So the way forward for me in this project is to produce a Super Asphalt. I can't do it using the existing Freeways because I will end up with confusion in the clutch. I'm going to have to go away and produce another Asphalt, breed the asphalts back together to produce my Super, and during that process I can add other genes. So I might pair my Asphalt to a GHI Mojave and produce a GHI Mojave Asphalt. That would be a useful addition because I can then carry the extra genes into the project knowing that there's no Yellow Belly in the mix to confuse it. So I can produce my Super Asphalt, which also contains additional genes to get them into the project. That's the key, that's the way forward. It's actually not as easy as it first appears. What a fantastic outcome for this clutch. Leopard Freeways, awesome. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.